Ready, Salah?
Yeah.
That sounded so awkward. One more time, more
Okay. Salah, no awkwardness. Assalamu alaikum everyone, welcome to the Pearl Radio Show. This is our first podcast of the year, so can we please have a cheer? I'm your host Shehab for today, and inshallah today we're going to speak about a very important topic. Ramadan is coming up, as all of us know. We have 8 days left, inshallah. Our lovely guest today is our beloved student Salahuddin. Salahuddin has a good history with academics, and today he's gonna take us more through how to balance academics with Ramadan as it's coming up. And yeah, how are you, Salah?
Alhamdulillah, how are you?
Are you ready for this lovely podcast?
Inshallah.
Inshallah. And then, what do you think about Ramadan?
For me, like, obviously, every time Ramadan comes, it's like a complete surprise. Like, we always like, oof, it's already here, and it usually takes me by shock. And my Ramadan experience, like, it's varied. It's usually, obviously, a time of ibadah, and that's just what it's meant to be. As a student, I feel when Ramadan comes, I kind of like it can be a little bit more challenging. So it's definitely an interesting time of year in terms of being a student.
Okay, that was very detailed, and I believe that a lot of students would agree with you. I personally would agree with you that Ramadan does always come as some people call it a hit, and because it truly comes after 11 months. Some people see it as Ramadan comes every 12 months, but no, it actually comes every 11 months. So the time is way shorter than we actually feel it, and a lot of students would agree with Salah. However, Salah, when the topic Ramadan comes up, and a lot of people normally say ibadah, how does a student actually get into the routine of ibadah? Because as soon as Ramadan hits, you can't just change your entire routine. You can't just wake up for Fajr every single day, even though you never woke up for it before. You can't read one juz of the Quran every day if you would only read one page before. So how does a student indulge the ibadah in his routine before Ramadan comes?
So the months before Ramadan are really important for you to be able to fully make use of Ramadan. So like, and it's all about starting a small habit that you'll be able to be consistent with. Every year for me it's been different. For example, now it's Sha'ban, while we're recording this, I tried to do like a voluntary fast a couple of times this month just for myself because it's building up to Ramadan, getting myself used to it, and just like building myself up. So if there's any sort of ibadah or whatever you feel like would be important to you, you just build it up, and so that Ramadan you can really push yourself. Yeah.
But Salah, could you give us like some more examples of short steps that students can take? Because for some students, fasting voluntarily can be a big step for them, and sometimes a big step is not the right step to take. So like, what are smaller ibadahs that a student can take that will help him build up good habits for Ramadan?
So, for example, for me, last Ramadan, my biggest goal was like, whenever I am like free or whenever I'm not doing anything, I'll just do istighfar, just astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah. And I thought about it because of the ayah, قُلْتُ اسْتَغْفِرُوا رَبَّكُمْ إِنَّهُ كَانَ غَفَّارًا يُرْسِلِ السَّمَاءَ عَلَيْكُمْ مِدْرَارًا. And it's just so many things about the power of istighfar, and I just said, from now on, anytime I'm not doing anything, anytime I'm sitting, whatever, I'm just gonna do istighfar. And I was just thinking, that happened last Ramadan, and when I found out Ramadan was so soon, I'm like, dang, it's been a whole year, and I carried that habit, alhamdulillah. So it's just, that's one of the most basic things you can do, just
SubhanAllah.
Yeah.
When it comes to the topic of prayers, some students, now let's speak a bit after Ramadan. Some students, as soon as Ramadan ends, they're like, I wish we could pray Taraweeh after Ramadan. Oh, I'm gonna miss Taraweeh, I'm gonna miss Qiyamul Layl. And then the normal answer that everyone gets is just pray your tahajjud and pray all that. A lot of students don't know that the reason you stop after Ramadan is because Ramadan is like a time of, you could say, like where you're mentally locked into prayer and all you're thinking about is prayer. However, the reason you stop praying after Ramadan is because before Ramadan you never prayed those prayers. So one of the habits that students can put into their routine from before Ramadan is Qiyamul Layl, the Sunnahs, and all of these things that will make it easier for the student to continue the Ramadan routine after Ramadan, and um, and inshallah increase their rankings. Salah, unfortunately, we need to go a bit into the boring topic, and it's your academics and your education. A lot of students when Ramadan comes, they just don't come to school. And I'm not gonna judge that personally. Nobody to judge. However, um, a student needing to get good grades is an undeniable fact, and they need to get those grades. So they need to study, whether they come to school or not. They need to study. They need to get those grades up. So Salahuddin, as somebody, you have a past with academics. You have a past with teaching yourself, teaching others. You personally taught me. What are some tips that you could give to students who want to stay consistent with both their ibadah and their education? Because education is very draining at times. Some students have to sacrifice certain things. However, education and ibadah in a lot of circumstances come as a no zone. It has to happen. So how could the students balance between these two things?
So I'm not gonna lie. In the end of the day, in Ramadan, it's gonna be challenging. Managing your time while you're fasting, especially studying, your brain doesn't work. It's very challenging, and you're gonna probably see a slight effect. But what I can say is that if you manage your time correctly, if you sort of make the systems for yourself, like it's gonna be pretty much like as the best thing you can do, and that's enough. So one of the biggest tips is like the best way to spend your Ramadan is like in the time of don't skip the important ibadahs. Like for example, sometimes I'm like, okay, let me study. I'll miss Taraweeh. I won't go to these things, and I'm like, at the end of the day, you waste your time. There's a very important balance on how to do it. You need to be very honest with yourself. Am I really going to study when I tell myself I'm going to study, or is it sort of like an excuse? So I think my first tip is going to be just be honest with yourself. Okay,
Hold yourself accountable.
Yeah. I need to get good grades. Okay. So when am I most likely to be the most productive? I think most people should try like after Fajr, if you stay awake, okay, maybe an hour before school starts because it's usually later. That's probably the best time because you just had food, you're kind of awake, you're not tired. Maybe after you come back from Taraweeh or at night, that's also a time that you could study. But the biggest thing is like, I usually haven't found it to be worth it to skip out on a lot of ibadahs for the reason of just studying. It's like, because there's gonna come the thing about am I doing it so I can study or am I being lazy? So you need to just like hold yourself accountable.
That's perfect, Salah. But managing your routine is a pretty basic answer. How can a student actually incorporate the two things? Is it some days the student has to, okay, today we're not going to study. You have to be honest with yourself, as you said. You need to hold yourself accountable. Today we're not going to study. We're going to give priority to the ibadah. Or are we going to study every day for the first 20 days and then we're going to give priority to the last 10 days? Or are we going to force ourselves to study when tired? These are the certain things that that students actually face. And the most important thing is we don't want students to face burnout. A lot of students face burnout. So these are the things that a student would like to know from someone who has experienced it for the past 3 years.
Yeah, so for studying in Ramadan, I'd say my biggest thing that helped me in studying in and outside of Ramadan is just try to be consistent. Whenever you like, if there was a day I felt like I slacked off, I wouldn't let myself just go to sleep without doing like 10 minutes, 30 minutes of revision. So I feel just like whatever you do, like find a good amount that you can do consistently. Inside of Ramadan, like maybe the hour before iftar, I'm gonna do that throughout all of Ramadan, or maybe half an hour. Don't let yourself like get into this mindset of this whole month I'm just gonna leave everything and I'll try to study after it, or I'll study like towards the end, it's not the it's not gonna help you in terms of academics or in terms of your ibadah. It's gonna like make you lose both. Like in Ramadans where I had that mindset where I was like, okay, let me just skip my studying. I turned out like I had a lot of free time and I could have put the work in. And Ramadans where I've tried to put all my time into studying all 30 days, that also made me like waste my ibadah when I could have done it. So just like I feel the best thing with balancing your ibadah and studying, just do something that you will be able to continue the whole 30 days consistently. It's gonna be like a slight push for yourself, but it's possible. And then that will make it so that it's much easier to get into the rhythm and continue after Ramadan even.
Okay, Salah, consistency. Um, very common word. What is a good amount of time that's realistic? Because some students would be like, oh, okay, he said right before Iftar, and then you see them studying from Asr all the way until Iftar, and then by the end of the day, they're dead. Because they had too much for Iftar. because studying drains you. It drains you physically, it drains you mentally, and it tires you. So when it comes to Iftar, you're naturally gonna try to get back all of that energy, and then you're just gonna slouch for the rest of the night. What is a good amount of time to study that isn't too little, isn't too much, is good for the soul, for the body, for the mind, and is there a possible way where students can split it, maybe a little bit in the morning, a little bit in the evening? Give us more in depth regarding that.
Okay, so in terms of minimum, like if I'd say like 10 minutes. It really doesn't take a lot of time to just like in terms of one session. If you just do 10 minutes, I'm gonna do 10 minutes. I'm gonna read a chapter. Okay, that's a good solid thing. If you can do that maybe morning, whether it's after Fajr or before you leave for school, and then in the evening another 10 minutes, and then that's gonna get you in a rhythm. I don't care like if you're finishing units or whatever, just like get yourself into the rhythm. I'd say for me personally in A levels now, I'm gonna try to do like an hour to two, probably closer to two. But I don't. For me personally, I haven't found it effective for me to just do 5 hours sit studying. Whether even outside of Ramadan, like I just can't sit down for 5 hours and study. I'm gonna what I'm gonna try to do, and what I think most people would find it useful, is try not to eat so much at iftar so that you can't do anything for the rest of the night. Because also, like after you eat iftar, if you just eat enough that you're energized, you can continue. Maybe after tarawih, you can study for like half an hour. So don't like knock yourself out with the food. And also, this is something a lot of people do. They skip suhoor. I think just try to eat a nice suhoor. You get that energy, so that maybe in the morning you can study. Like managing your food so that it can last you the whole day. Your energy, you don't feel drained. That's gonna be a huge thing. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So managing your food is something people don't normally speak during Ramadan. They're always gonna tell you, "Oh, you need to manage your time perfectly," but I just get fed up when I hear the word "manage your time." Not everybody is necessarily good at managing their time, and it's a skill that it could take years to build up. So I don't think people will just suddenly make a routine or manage their time properly in Ramadan. But yeah, managing your food is a huge thing. Eating too much can make you slouch. Not eating enough can make you extremely nauseous. So that was a very amazing point, Salah. Thank you. I'm gonna incorporate a lot of the things that Salah is sharing, and guys, I'm squeezing this out of Salah. He's trying not to speak because he thinks he's humble, but I'm really trying to squeeze everything out of it so everybody can benefit. Okay, Salah. Sports. I know you're big on sports. A lot of students do sports. Now, when we incorporate sports into the routine, now we're talking about sports, studying, your ibadah, and some people will also add socializing because Ramadan is a time where people want to gather with their friends and family. Some people have their extracurriculars. They do things outside of sports. I don't know, me personally, I can't name anything. Maybe knitting, maybe all of this stuff. In Ramadan, should you manage your sports into your routine? Do you do that? Have you seen other people do that? Or is Ramadan a time where like, okay, I'm gonna drop sports off of my schedule because I have other priorities?
For me personally, I'm just gonna talk about myself right now. If I stay in the house for a solid week and I don't do anything outside, I'm gonna go crazy. Like it's
Okay.
just a fact.
Yeah.
Inside and outside of Ramadan,
Mhm.
I have to have something. Whether it's going for walks, I think that's a great thing for Ramadan. If it's
Mhm.
before iftar, maybe between after you eat your iftar and before tarawih, you can go for a walk. It's a great way to get yourself out, active. Like, and for me, that would literally save me from going insane just staying in the house all day. I've in previous years I've done like martial arts. I've tried to go to the gym, and yeah, I'd say for me, if it's gonna be working out, probably the last end of the day. That's when I'd try to work out, and I'm gonna try to do it. I've done it in previous years. It's tough, but when it's the last hour and right after your training, you're going home and just take a shower and eat. That's gonna keep you active. It's gonna keep you happy. Some people will say, you know what, Ramadan, I have too much to work with. I don't have time for that.
Mhm.
That's a choice. I personally, I don't think I could do it. I think especially a lot of mainly boys my age could not do that.
Yeah.
Just stay at home like all week, no, for a month without working out or doing something active. So I definitely suggest if you know yourself, you know, I will not be able to study if I'm staying at home. Don't force yourself to do that. Like
Yeah.
you're gonna be looking around like you're gonna start going crazy. So do what you need to do to get your brain healthy so that you can study. That also like for sleep. I really care about getting enough sleep that I can function. Like um Ramadan's where I'd sleep at or something and I'd wake up like at dhuhr on weekends or even if I'd yeah during Ramadan I'd just have that routine. My whole day's productivity would be bad. A lot of people, I'm not gonna say like it's bad, but I just feel like if you're gonna try to make use of your day, try to make use of the barakah in the morning. That's another big thing. Especially in Ramadan, people like stay out late and I'd say utilizing the barakah of the morning, the clarity, the peace of it, because like not a lot of people are awake. You'll be able to be alone, just sort yourself out. That's
Mhm.
uh, a big way to use your time efficiently.
Yeah, that is a very good point. But another point I would like to touch on is leniency, being lenient with yourself. To what certain extent should someone be lenient with themselves? Like personally, during Ramadan, I love to socialize with people. I love to go to my friend's house. I love to go to my relative's house, my family, and I wouldn't like to put down my priorities um, just so I could go see them. But I also don't want to put them down just so I can go do my priorities. Um, in those circumstances, do you see it's a healthy option to drop your priorities and go see your family instead and enjoy the socializing for a bit? Or no, you need to stay consistent and disciplined with your routine because that's where the results come.
Um, so with visiting family and socializing, it's obviously like a really big part of what happens in Ramadan. I wouldn't say cut it out, just like don't go out with family, don't go to iftar or whatever. Um, a lot of the times I feel just it might need you to make a certain sacrifice of, you know what,
Mhm.
I'm just gonna study an hour earlier or an extra hour earlier in the day so that I can go out with the people I care about. I want to be with my family. Um, like yeah, these things are really big part of Ramadan. Obviously, even it's like a sunnah, salat al-rahim and all that.
Yeah.
Um, so I wouldn't say cut it out at all. You just need to be brutally honest with yourself. If you think that you're gonna be able to manage yourself in terms of your studying, just maybe sacrifice an hour earlier in the day. Just
Yeah.
get it done. It's not gonna kill you. Inshallah, it's gonna be fine. Even if let's say you go out like a couple times with your family and in the end you miss out on an hour of studying, try to make it up. And inshallah,
Is
khair.
it necessary that you need to make it up? I mean, sometimes like a student can miss out on a bit of studying and then it's fine. Khalas, like there's no need to make it up. We're just gonna study again the next day and we're gonna make sure that we don't study.
Yeah.
I think that's a good point. Okay. We spoke a lot about Ramadan. We spoke a lot about things that are incorporated into the life of a student in Ramadan. And I think Salah left no stone unturned. And Alhamdulillah, we were able to cover everything. I hope that this podcast was extremely beneficial to everyone who watched it. and I hope it wasn't too boring. I hope it was uh, filled with information that could benefit students of all ages, inshallah. Thank you so much, Salah, for this amazing podcast, and thank you so much for your time. And be tuned. Stay tuned for the next podcast, inshallah, where we're gonna touch deeper into the last 10 days and how to balance your time in more detail and how to make sure that you utilize the last 10 nights of Ramadan. Thank you, everybody.